Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Dust War Journals, the first episode of 2017. My name is Johannes Haglund and with me today I have two of my fellow Dust Vikings. I have with me here...
Hi, my name is Ludwig, or you can call me Ludda.
And I'm Magnus, known as Magoff or Magwiz on the forums.
And we have quite a lot to talk about today. We have some interesting new releases on the Dust Models page. First off, the new Steel Guards Anti-Infantry Squad. New. They were teased all the way back in the Kickstarter. Only with the renders then. So I think this is probably the first time that people can actually get their hands on them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What do we think about these guys? They look like they are more anti-tank with the big RPGs, but they are called anti-infantry. And the stats lines is, I think, divisive. We've had quite a lot of arguments in the group about them.
Yeah, we surely have. There are of course beautiful miniatures. That's the first I take out of this. And
as usual for the Steel Guard.
Yeah, I don't think they can make a Steel Guard unit that won't look just stunning. It comes with the shape of the miniature, I would say.
Yeah, I think they look fantastic. But stat-wise, to me, they look like anti-everything.
Yeah,
almost.
Basically.
They look really good. Sure, they're kind of expensive unit, but really good.
Yeah, well, we don't know yet, of course, then, because no one has played them, or perhaps someone tried to try them out with proxies or something. But and you never want to say this as mostly a SSU player, but do you really need them, though? I think that they have really reached a level now with the Steel Guards that you got a little bit of everything.
Are you saying that you don't need more Steel Guards?
No, never.
That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah, that's what you were hoping.
Fine by me.
Yeah, oh, yes.
But I kind of understand what you're thinking, because these guys are more jack of all trades.
Yeah.
The older Steel Guards are much more specific units. So maybe these, I know that you have said a lot of times before that Steel Guard works best when they're played in mass. You should have lots of them, because then you just fit all those roles. But with these guys, it could just work as a splash-in if you go with the Spetsnaz or Red Army or something like that, maybe.
Yeah, that might be a great way to use these. And also, perhaps these are good for those who want to get started with the Steel Guards. Because, if you started collecting Steel Guards, to me, you had to invest quite heavily to get that. You had that army bundle on the, which I think was great in many ways, but you almost need one of those army bundles of Steel Guards to get a real Steel Guard army. Mm-hmm. If this is a jack of all trades, well, great. Yeah, and a newbie, if you excuse the pun, could just pick one up and start playing Steel Guards right away, because they can do almost everything, as you say.
Yeah, I have the feeling they will be very popular with people like starting out an SSU army, because they can start with them and then kind of build out or make a theme and just go whatever direction they want.
And that's kind of a good point, because the Steel Guards, the units themselves are usually pretty expensive compared to other units, but that means that you don't need a lot of them to get started to make an army.
Yeah,
true, absolutely.
Then we have the Fallschirmjäger Command Squad, recently released as well. And, it's basically just a normal command squad, but with the airdrop ability that the Fallschirmjägers are known for the Luftwaffe. 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about what I expected with the Luftwaffe command squad.
Yeah, well, every Luftwaffe unit is a 10-pointer, isn't it? Every time he releases a Fallschirmjäger squad or something like that, I just want to start buying them, but I just can't. I have too much invested, and I can't start a new army now. Even though just recently we heard some rumblings about the summer and what might be happening then. I don't know if we're going to touch on that later, but okay, if that happens, what we think will happen, well, the summer salary, I know where that will go. And one day I dream of having a Fallschirmjäger army, but, well, I'm not that rich, let's face it.
They are gorgeous models,
Oh, yeah.
as always, and
they look good. Look really good.
I think the Luftwaffe army will be a very fun army to play. Maybe not as fun an army to try and play against, depending on it's the typical glass cannon army,
Yeah.
basically, and it's very luck based. You need to have luck in the first round in order to do really well with them.
Yeah, risk and reward. I mean, you risk a lot. Some games it goes really well, and some games not so well. So,
Definitely. If you can't play them, if you don't enjoy the roll of the die, I mean, you can go mental with that army. I mean, just
like fail for the third or fourth or fifth time in a row.
yeah, and all of a sudden, all those beautiful miniatures are broken up against the wall or something like that, and that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, but the command squad looks good. It's like normal command squad. I'm not sure if it's actually good to have a command squad airdrops, because
Maybe not, but then again, it's not that expensive at 10 points for a command squad. They have
That's true.
really decent weaponry. I mean, it's really, really powerful. But then again, how often do you want to attack with a command squad? Not that often.
And also, if you want to play completely Fallschirmjäger theme,
Yeah,
you really need the command squad.
definitely.
Or should be able to have one if you want. So-
And we haven't seen any Luftwaffe platoons yet, so they might be needed for that as well.
Exactly.
We don't know.
Yeah, Condor. We're waiting for it. We're
Yeah.
dreaming about it.
Yeah,
and I think it's quite all right to have it on 10 points, since I think it is a setback, or you should say, when you have to airdrop your command. Yeah, when you play the command team, you usually don't want to lose actions moving it or something like that. And as you say, they're heavily armed. This might just be another attack option with the. It's like some of the heroes before that were, you didn't know, should you attack with them or should you command with them, and this might be like some sort of 5-person hero command team.
In a way, it's kind of, if you Luftwaffe again, if you take the hero Florentine that comes in the starter box, she's an officer, and it's a very weird choice. I don't really see the kind of utility for that figure yet. There might be some really nice platoon rules for her later on. We don't know. We haven't seen that. But as it is now, I don't really see how you should use her.
Or perhaps the Fallschirmjäger is supposed to have a lot of commanders, so you usually don't use more than perhaps one each turn, but you have to be able to switch it all around. So for turn 1, it's Florentine who is the commander. Turn 2, it's the command
It
squad.
could be
Or
like just to give the player some options, really.
Yeah, and options are always good.
because you have to perhaps in turn to attack with Florentine. So, and it's supposed to be like that. Okay, just 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 turns the commander does any command abilities, because it's backed up by other commanders. So you like, well, yeah, I don't know,
Could be.
could be.
And speaking of options, we also have something new for the allies.
Yeah.
We have the Recon Mickey 2 and 3. I think only the version 2 is available in Primed and Premium at the moment. But there is a model kit version available that says it's Model 2 and 3. Which is very strange, because there is no card for Recon Mickey 3. There is a card for Recon Mickey and Recon Mickey 2. So I'm wondering if this might be a typo. That it's supposed to be the Recon Mickey 1 and 2, not the 2 and 3.
And also with the tropical one, how is that differently modeled than the original Mickey, Recon Mickey? Isn't that just the same model? Because it's open topped. I mean, I've done mine, I scratch built mine from a, what do you call those? Not 6-shooters, not bulldogs, M4 with recoilless rifles.
I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
I like M4 with M4 with 6 recoilless rifles. on top
Oh,
of it.
Barking Dog.
Oh, barking dog.
right.
You see, we're
Barking
getting
dog.
old. We don't remember. Yeah, more coffee or something. No, but the barking dog. I didn't want a tropical barking dog, and you couldn't get the original barking dog, so I bought the model kit version of the Tropical One, made a recon Mickey out of it, and just moved the recoilless rifles to an old M4 so I could get my real barking dog. But I don't see any difference on that model which I built. Perhaps I built it wrong. I don't know. But from the Tropical One, they seem like they are identical. It's just like, okay, this is painted less dark green or something. I don't know.
I have no idea. It's probably you, Ludde.
Yes, it's probably me. It's usually me. But then otherwise, same thing. The Recon Mickey, that's now new Recon Mickey card, or the Tropical One, it has a recoilless rifle. And isn't it even cheaper? Or is it me again? Now I'm getting a little bit confused here. I realize that.
Don't ask me. I don't really know that much. I just started my Allied army basically, so.
So you're getting there, okay? But I mean,
I know how to kill them. That's what I know.
Oh yes, you do. You don't have to remind us. But and I see no on the cards or on the homepage, I don't see any pictures of any recoilless rifle.
No, I think that lots of people have kind of pointed that out, that all the pictures on the site are from the Recon Mickey 1, the original.
Ah, okay.
So it's misrepresented in a lot of ways, which is quite interesting. But nonetheless, it's a cool model, and I think it's a good model. I think it's a really good unit.
Yeah. I don't want to betray a colleague here or a friend, but I know of one in our group who has a very interesting idea of how to use 2 or 3 Recon Mickeys in his coming Allied army, especially also to combat the NDAC forces.
Of course.
But of course, I'm perhaps saying too much now, and I don't want to be hit over the head next time he sees me. So I'll just leave it there and let him show you on the battlefield. So
lots of excitement ahead. Talking about excitement ahead, we also had some previews of upcoming models. Again, some new Luftwaffe, some really, really cool Luftwaffe stuff. We have the Lufthansa / the Lufthorst, which is a new kind of combination we haven't seen before. So these are again airdropped Axis walkers. So Lufthansa, that's basically what it is. You all know the Hans, the light walker with the kind of RPGs. But we also have the Lufthorst, which is basically the Lufthansa but with the Lothar artillery weapons.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and
they both have flamers, right?
Yeah, they have those dick guns.
Yeah, I was just going to say, perhaps this is going to be X-rated now. So all you young viewers, please.
Belly guns.
Yeah, belly guns. But is that better? Is that actually better? Doesn't that give you even worse ideas?
It's not worse, is it?
I don't know.
They just have heartburn. It's a bellyache, and
and it just bursts out.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, perhaps we should have a voting on the homepage. What is worse, a belly gun or a dick gun? I don't know. What makes more damage? No, sorry, I'm getting.
But these are again like typical of what we've seen so far with the Luftwaffe.
Yeah.
They're incredibly powerful, pretty cheap, and they drop down. And if they get to attack, they have the opportunity to do immense amounts of damage, basically. And just the idea of having an airdropped artillery weapon.
Yeah,
that's so weird.
Yeah. But it's beautiful. It's just wonderful. I love it. But also, since I'm practically still an SSU player, or more SSU than anything else, I have appreciated extremely the extra machine gun on the KV Tropicals, the Tropical KV Walkers, because it gives you so much more maneuverability, and the difference in armor and everything is just neglectable to me. I just feel the Tropical KV every day of the week.
And then of course you have to take into account our local meta, which has been very heavily infantry focused for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's how everyone plays it, but that's the experiences we've had, that players have been fielding lots and lots of infantry.
Yeah.
And then you need those extra machine guns.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can never get too many of the machine guns, and Magnus is right now looking at it on the homepage, and I mean, come on, it is a wonderful miniature. It's just okay, yeah, you get those you can get those strange notions when you look at it, placing of the gun and everything, you know. But then, I don't know.
It looks really cool. So if nothing else, it's a really cool model to put on the table.
Yeah.
And we also have had quite recently a preview of an upcoming, I think, Luftwaffe hero. But maybe not. Because it's basically a flying gorilla in power armor. So it's like a cross between Winterchild and the Axis Blutkreuz gorillas. So is it Luftwaffe because it's flying? Is it Blutkreuz because all the gorillas are Blutkreuz?
Well, I'm
To
dreaming.
me, it doesn't really matter.
No,
I'm
that's
getting it
just-
anyway.
Yeah,
so-
of course. Him, his friends, his colleagues, his aunts, his aunts, and everything. You gotta have them all. I'm so glad that. I mean, we're touching on that later as well, but we're gonna come to the point where we discuss: is the SSU too powerful, or what's happened with the SSU? And all the discussion that's been in our group has left me now to take a SSU sabbatical or something. I'm going for the Blutkreuz and the.
But to me it feels like you've always enjoyed playing the underdog. In some way.
Well, you got me there, don't you? Of course. I mean, beating someone with the army that is supposed to be the lesser army is always much, much more fun than knowing you have the most powerful units in the game and you're almost invincible. I mean, come on, how fun is that? Well, if you think that is fun and you want to play against me and I can have all the Chinese I want. I mean, come on, fine. Bring your whatever Punishers or whatever. I mean, I just enjoy it, taking you down. So of course it's important that those players exist as well, and I don't want to deprive them of anything. But that's just not me. Death Star's not my style. Well, the Death Star would be my style. Sorry, I just backtracked there. I mean,
I do have a 148 scale ATST Walker that I've been kind of wanting to paint up as an Axis unit and like put a tank commander on. And
Interesting idea.
you know, that's what I'm actually. I don't know if we should touch on that, but I'll do it anyway. Something that I think has gone a little bit missing in the Facebook forum is that before I thought you could find more of those strange conversions. I mean, you have that Imperial Guard flyer that someone had painted up as an Axis plane and had on the tabletop. I don't think they made a card for it then, and they played with it, but they just had it because it was a beautiful sculpture and it was just great as a Axis flyer, and it was great on the tabletop. And I just think that we're seeing less and less of that, or is it just me that I'm been around too long to?
maybe it does seem...
I have no idea. I don't do Facebook.
No,
so.
no.
But it does kind of seem like conversions and custom units and kind of that it's not that popular. And maybe it's because the player base as a whole is smaller now than it was a few years ago. So maybe those players that enjoyed that kind of stuff went over to other games. That might be kind of an explanation, maybe.
But isn't it more members in the Facebook page now than before? I think that counter is always going up. Yeah, but okay, but that was an off topic. Perhaps it was just bad for me to mention it here. If anybody listening to this and have some cool conversions or something, please put them on Facebook or anywhere, or on the Dust Viking webpage, please, because some of us enjoy them so much to see. Oh, you're doing that. You have that idea because that feeds me and it gives me a new idea, and then I, or Magnus, or Johannes, or anyone just makes a new conversion. I mean, we had a friend of ours just before we started this podcast sent us a picture. He had used the Tina and the hyena, and he has removed the Tina and he's placed a model of himself, and it was just beautiful. I just love it. So a special shout out to our friend Lars who's done this, and I just that's what makes my day, at least when I get a picture like that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, going back to talking about this new gorilla hero, Is there really that much we can say about it other than it looks freaking awesome?
No, but we were thinking, is it an armor value 3 or armor value 4?
That's a good question. I am thinking it's probably going to be armor class 3, simply because it's unique for the SSU to have armor class 4, and that would kind of diminish it if another block got that.
My guess is also armor 3 because Axis heavy infantry is armor 3, so probably.
Basically. And if you want to go the counter argument, well, he is a gorilla, so he gets +1. So the normal gorillas have armor class 2, they have no armors, so
yeah, it could
we'll
be.
see. We'll see.
Anyways, he will probably be higher armor class than any other gorilla so far.
Yeah, that's
So,
and that's an interesting question, because this is probably a hero, definitely. I think we can be pretty sure of that. Will there be a squad for him to lead?
Yeah, I'm betting it. I would be very disappointed, actually, if this is just a hero. Because we already have 4 splendid monkey heroes. The monkey army does not need any more heroes to me. I hope this will be a squad
he
unit.
could be classed as super, well, I guess not human, but super gorilla then. So
Oh, yeah,
maybe he can't lead a unit.
Yeah, it could be like that, but because that was something like, even though you don't only have 2 squads, different squads for the army, if you're playing just monkey army, gorilla army, whatever you want to call them, it just feels like it is enough with just one more different type of unit. And a flying unit, to me, especially now than the Flammenfaust, or what's it called, they are now range 3. They have the range weapon as well now. So, and they're so tough and so quick and so deadly. Just give me a flyer so I can reach those high buildings and stuff like that, or fight the aircrafts or something like that, and they are complete to me.
And that means that we can finally get our Luftwaffe army.
Yeah.
Finally.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that digital picture, the work in progress that Paolo showed us in Poland, I think it was.
Last year.
Yeah, and I was just, oh yeah, can't wait for that. So, and this year it's just perfect.
Yeah. Fantastic. We have some new stuff coming up as well. We just a few days ago when we're recording this, Gregoire on the Facebook page didn't show any pictures, but he kind of hinted what's coming up. Said we have a new SSU vehicle coming in March. I'm guessing he's talking about the amphibious command squad, command vehicle.
Yeah, it must be, because that to me is furthest forth in the production when we've seen the pictures and stuff like that. So it seems like that will.
The first command vehicle at all for the SSU.
Yeah.
It's been too long, basically. And he also hinted that this summer is going to be a new faction with a new starter box. And he didn't make it explicitly clear in the Facebook post, but since he was talking about the SSU vehicle in the previous paragraph, and that I think he means a new faction for the SSU.
Yeah, well, I was thinking more like, oh, that's my version of Japanese. I'm sorry if it offends anyone, but I mean, to me, I thought it was in the comment.
I'm gonna go with Chinese.
Okay, yeah.
I think,
Chinese block for the SSU. That's
Chinese subfaction.
yeah.
Okay. I just thought I heard someone mention that the 50% of the Japanese army were supposed to be coming because they were coming to help in Condor or something. Or they were coming in the second wave to fight in Africa. So, and I don't know how much we should touch on those things that we've heard or been rumored that it's part of the Japanese army and what type of them they are, what's included in them and stuff like that. But we've heard some whispers about this. And,
Yeah, but nothing really solid.
No.
So everything is just rumors at this point.
Oh.
So we'll just have to wait and see.
But then those are always the interesting ones.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but
We have seen previews of both Chinese and Japanese heroes.
yeah, that's
So we know that both of those nationalities are
Mhm.
going to be represented soon.
And we know there will be a Chinese fraction coming. That's, as we understand, it's clear. They will arrive, and they were arriving soon. But it's the 4th. Oh, yeah, well, okay, perhaps it's the Chinese then. I guess.
We'll see.
But I'll
whatever it is, I bet it's going to be really cool. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Of course. Let's go over and talk a bit about the current meta situation in the game. We recently had a local tournament here in Sweden, in Linköping, which had some quite interesting results. To kind of
put it mildly.
Yeah, to put it mildly. Basically, the 3 different blocks were quite well represented. We have almost the same amount of players for each block. But the final results, what can we say about that kind of distribution?
Well, first I want to mention that the standings in this tournament was calculated a little bit differently than at least what I'm used to. Basically, it was you got points, like victory points for holding the objectives, and you also got victory points for killing your opponents.
Yeah.
And all of those were added together, and in the end, the players with the highest total was crowned as first player. And
yeah,
that was used as first tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And it was no Swiss tournament, so
it wasn't really. It didn't really matter who won the most specific games, as long as you got a lot of those kill points / victory points.
Yeah.
So it was a totally different tournament than we're used to, which was the great thing about it, I think. It's so bad if you get stuck in one format. That's why I always look forward to going someplace where I haven't been before and experience something like I haven't experienced before. Because even though if that type of format perhaps not is my thing, just doing my thing all the time will make me not appreciate that as much. And I don't know how this sounds.
No, I understand. It's nice to mix it up a bit and do things a bit differently.
Yeah.
Change around. And I also want to say that I also had a great time, and it was really nice to see a lot of new players. I think I can't remember how many players played their first Dust tournament, but it was like 5 or something.
It could be a third of them,
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. We had 14 players in total, and of those 14, there were 5 players each for the SSU and the Allies, and the remaining 4 played the Axis. And the distribution, well, the 5 players who played SSU got in place 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
And the most notable there is that I'm actually the 5th of the SSU players, which is just shambolic, and just shows you this was not serious.
The veteran SSU got in last in the SSU group.
It's clearly not a serious tournament in any case. This is just it was rigged, But,
just to reiterate, I don't think people should take too much away from the results of this specific tournament, because there was not the normal tournament rules.
No.
Like I said, but it's still it is interesting, definitely. Another thing that I think is very interesting, that of these 5 SSU players, we have almost all kinds of different types of players. We have completely new players who's played the first tournament. We have players who have focused on the SSU since they started playing. We have people like me who's played for a long time but tried out SSU for the first time in a tournament setting. So it's quite a different kind of group of people. But can we say anything kind of from this type of results? Just to mention it also, the 4 of the 5 Allied players came in the 4 bottom rows, and the Axis in the middle, basically.
Well, what you have to take in count here is that the 2 tournament organizers, thank you, Magnus, were playing Allied, and they had did a hell of a job, and they were running around like mad trying to get this working as well as they did. So
I've done that trying to play a tournament while organizing it. Don't do that if you can avoid it.
And I would bet good money that both those guys would have reached a much higher place if they were just playing. I mean, if they were not the organizers, because it takes a lot out of you. You have to be a certain type of person, as we have here in the room, like Magnus, who can't be affected by anything. He can do 5 tournaments, I think, in the same time and play them as well. And
Only 5?
okay, yeah, I was thinking to be modest about it, right? I didn't want to brag for you, but I mean, some people just are, constructed to host tournaments. The rest of us, we get affected of it. I mean,
they had some busy times there during the tournament, but I think they managed quite well in the end. And
they pulled it together nicely.
It was a lot of fun.
It was definitely well organized.
Oh yeah.
If we can draw any kind of conclusions by these results, I mean, if the SSU are like the new kids on the block to beat, one of the reasons for that could be, I think, that now the steel guards are a lot better than they were before.
And there were several people playing steel guard. Not all the SSU players, but...
No, but a couple of them at least were playing armies with a lot of steel guards in them. And I think that many of the rest of us are completely not used to playing against steel guards.
Yeah.
And doesn't really think about steel guards when they write their army lists.
There are several units that can't even hurt them.
Exactly. So I think, I didn't watch all the games, of course, since I was playing myself, but when I heard people speaking about it, some of them I heard mention that they had so much difficulties with the steel guards now.
Yeah, I truly understand where you're coming from. When you construct your army for a tournament, you think, what will I face? And you don't think that you're going to face that many steel guards. We had a few who played.
I've seen them before a couple of times here and there, but not like massive steel guards armies.
No.
So
People have tried, before version 3 came out, before the new stats, we locally usually played with steel guards in version 2 with damage resilience, just to boost them a bit. And even then they didn't really work.
Yeah.
So they needed this boost. And I must say, I don't think that they're overpowered now. They are definitely powerful.
Yeah.
But you have to plan for them. And you can plan for them. So it will affect how you play. And I know some people don't like that. They want to be able to play the way they've always played, with the units they've always played. But you can't expect that to just kind of stay the same all the way, because I don't think that's good for the game in the long haul. That it just keeps the game stagnant. You need changes like this to shake up the meta.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, most of all, I'm happy to at least see steel guards on the table, because before it was a rare sight.
Yeah.
But now you see them fairly regularly.
Yeah, and that would, of course, if I weren't to go to the Axis block now for this year, then my next logical step would be to try to play the steel guards. I've started experimenting with a few armies, and they have been working out quite nicely. But I haven't followed that through because it's the
stuff happened.
Yeah, I'm a monkey and a zombie. I'll start chewing on you too in a matter of minutes.
Monkey zombies.
Yes. Oh yeah, monkey zombies. That's another one.
Don't get started.
Oh yeah. Well, why not?
Well, that should be the kind of logical next step.
Yeah. At least one person having Sigrid standing over him. I mean, in the laboratory, must have used the wrong needles. Terrifying of getting the head shot or something. I mean,
why not?
That's also kind of an interesting. Do we want to see the game head in more like a fantastical way? I know we heard like that might have been just kind of an off-the-cuff comment or joke, but I did hear in the interview that I did with Olivier a few months ago. He did mention kind of vampires or vampire hero, kind of off the cuff.
It's been a calling for vampires or werewolves or something like that, and Russian bears and stuff like that, or bear men. And I mean, now you got the Guardians and the new Russian action movie. I mean, with the bear action hero there, why not? And with having aliens in a while, I mean, and stuff like that.
But aliens is more science fiction-y rather than kind of horror gothic fantasy.
I was thinking you were going to say scientific. I mean, okay, well...
Yes, of course, they're completely scientific.
Yes.
Everyone knows the aliens exist.
Yes.
Haven't you seen Independence Day?
Well, unfortunately, I have. And I will never be the same again. Sorry, okay, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, I don't know about the weird stuff. I think it's kind of a balance act, because a lot of players, including me, are very historically interested and really enjoys the kind of historical stuff. So
It's
I like the weird
historical with a
stuff.
twist.
I play monkeys sometimes in the game, and I have a lot of zombies as well, and I enjoy them. But for me, I wouldn't like it if they like go too far and release all kinds of vampires and werewolves and whatnot.
And
I think it should still feel like kind of historical game, like this could have happened almost.
And you have a taste of that stuff if you want it, but it's not the focus. And I think there are other games that if you're really into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because if you only have the fantasy aspect of it, I mean, just keep bringing weird stuff, if you call them that, or pulp stuff, then it gets so much pulp, perhaps, so you get lost. I mean, when you only have the monkeys, the zombies, the lasers, then, well, it's just a flavoring. It gets interesting, I think, more in a way than if you just spam it and you get everything.
Yeah, then zombies and gorillas would not be any special anymore, because they're
Exactly.
weird stuff all over the place.
Somebody coming with their garden gnomes playing or something like that all of a sudden. I mean, it could get too far. But why not Vlad and here to Vlad?
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to be a vampire. It could be just cool that this is the son of Vlad, because historically he should have existed. So perhaps they just didn't kill off all his...
A non-vampire vampire.
Yeah, well, okay, so that was perhaps lame. Yeah, I hear you now. But going back to the SSU, and I think what's happened is that the SSU is now an easier block to start playing, because what for me it was, I mean, I had to learn the SSU way over years. I mean, it wasn't. I had a lot of games. Of course, when I started playing SSU, I had only second armor ratings on my guys, and I was playing mostly against a German player who was fielding Type 3 Germans, and let me tell you, those games ended a certain way all the time. Of course, he's a very good gamer and should remain nameless. Huge success in other games throughout the world, actually. But so perhaps he's several more levels more better than me. But in that time, you didn't have the SSU to combat those Type 3 Germans. So, but then you got the Steel Guards, and well, things started happening. So you had to start learning the SSU way, and it took years and months of play testing, and all of a sudden you got that army that made it possible for you to win tournaments. Now, collect the ones that you feel is cool, like I felt you could always do with the Germans, and mostly with the Allied. There are some Allied troops that you just can't pick because they're cool, especially to me, the M4s, as I like to call them. Perhaps they're named M3s now, the walkers.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would I feel it lost the Swedish Masters in non-gridded. I played only M4s, and I got dead lost every game, but I had a blast, and I loved my army composition. I loved how it looked, but I don't think you can just bring that type of army, sadly, to a tournament and win. You can only enjoy it. But it's...
Well, that's kind of how it is in every game anyway. There's always going to be a few like optimal choices and a few non-optimal choices, and whatever it is, you have to decide: do you want to bring this or do you want to bring that? What's most important to you?
But to me, both Germans or Axis and SSU, you can almost now pick. I want that. I want that. I want that,
and it'll work.
Yeah.
Kind of, more or less.
Yeah.
Anyway.
At least more than before.
Yeah. And if you really want to go in and kind of opt and do really powerful stuff, I mean, some of the platoons for the SSU are really good. I mean, the Red Army platoon.
Oh yeah, that's a good platoon.
That's really good.
Then you just have to wait out the opponent. But then, is there actually? I mean, you can. I'm thinking about the Rosa platoon. You can hide yourself to victory.
You get the airdrop with the KVs.
Yeah, but sorry. Don't get me started on that one. That is the most fun platoon to play.
Yeah, and
but
I think that's the point, because you do need those options. You need to go with the powerful kind of tournament-y types stuff, but you also need these fun options that just do weird, different stuff.
Going back to the Linköping tournament, didn't the winner play that?
No, he was flying it in. He was,
the Wolfpack.
Yeah, the Wolfpack. The Wolfpack is a possible winner, but the airdrop KV-47, you win a tournament with that, and you get a free pass to anything, I would say, and you can just
like we discovered when I played against you with that with the airdrop. You have to be really careful where you put it, because you do pile up some wrecks, and then you're stuck.
Yeah, you made a wall for yourself with your shot out KV-47,
yeah, so
and then you place them on the other side, and you just, whoa, how am I getting out of this now? So you have to airdrop yourself from your own fortification. So that's what. Yeah, it was a great game. And especially for me, of course, because my Ludwigs were working, and I don't think...
Yeah, your namesakes.
Yeah, I mean, of course I'm playing Ludwig now that I'm playing German. But
and that's kind of one of my bugbears, that I haven't really found a zombie army to play it, because I really need to field Frank von Stein.
Yeah.
Because that's me. That's Frankie.
Yeah, definitely.
So...
And you have to make someone to remodel the head for him.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be great.
I just put a cap on him and he's...
Oh, yeah, okay, that's... And paint beard.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have to start shaving. I don't know.
Put a little tiny false beard on him. So.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
So, talking about the SSU, how do we feel like with the other blocks at the moment? What's kind of the status?
Well, to me, as you two always heard, I always claimed, and I still claim, that the Axis block has always been the most powerful, most easy to play block.
Yeah, I think that's a very important distinction. They are not necessarily always the most powerful block, but they are the easiest block to get powerful, get good with. They're the most forgiving block, basically.
Yeah, that's a very good word, forgiving. And it's so easy to use the wrong words here, so people think you're meaning something else. And going back to the thing I was saying before, that you could easily pick up a few units and it'll work. Because they are not that special, but they're good at what they do, and they have a limited option. So you have to do what they do. You can't improvise with the Axis forces or their main forces. I mean, if you have a shooting unit, it moves, it shoots, it moves, it shoots.
I've always seen the Axis as stable, I would say. That's the word I would put for it. Stable. they don't have too much like really crazy stuff. Who can do like some super moves or super. Yeah, they have some good combos, of course, but they are really stable.
Mhm.
Not too many super good, but they don't have any like really bad stuff either.
Yeah.
Most of it are, good.
Yeah, reliable.
Yeah.
Like you expect from a German army, I would say, but I don't want to be too prejudiced here. But I mean, then you have the Americans who have all the special, shiny, big bada booms and stuff like that. But sometimes they just don't work, or should I say something bad? It's like an American car; they put themselves on fire spontaneously or something. Wasn't the American tank in the World War named like the lighter or something? No, it's the German word for. That's not the Sherman, but it was so easy to get to burn, so they were calling it the.
Sometimes they just kind of exploded by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, so and
Just looked at them wrong.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I'm missing right now from the Allied is the huge amount of vehicles they had. I mean, I've heard something, or a friend of mine was talking about they had almost a vehicle for every infantryman on the floor. I mean,
we're talking about the real.
No, the real
yeah.
army. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Going all World War II era or
Yeah.
a moment. But so to me, I would love to see more cheap Allied.
Light tanks and light
Yeah.
walkers.
So they can just spam that.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we have seen some renders of upcoming jeeps
Yeah.
and stuff. So
yeah. The more I see of the Desert Scorpions, the
yeah.
more I want them because they are looking fantastic.
yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out when they have, right now they don't have too much to choose from really if you want to build a Desert Scorpion
no,
on.
no,
It's
no,
going
it's
to be
three
difficult.
units,
But,
okay. Not 4 with the sniper guy.
but
Yeah.
with
yeah, so
a few more releases, maybe you can actually build something that's working.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that's coming pretty soon this year because that's a lot to look forward to there.
Definitely. That's also something that's going to burn in the wallet when you get those, and like that little scout vehicle with the phaser gun. Oh my God, I should know this. I've talked about it before I started playing Dust. I'm mostly talked about that vehicle. I want that vehicle for the Allied army in Dust. The reason I'm so fascinated with this car, and I should know it, is because I played Axis and Allies miniature games, and I always fielded 2 of these because they could strike and fade, and they were so badass in that game. And more I find that it seems like Oliver or someone is a little bit inspired by, perhaps, I'm not saying, or has played perhaps a few, because I find stuff or patterns emerging when I play Dust Tactics now, or Dust 1947, that I remember from playing Axis and Allies miniature game, and I enjoyed that game so immensely. That it just makes me happy. Do we sound too much like fanboys right now? I'm starting to. We have to say something really negative about our in Dust Studio, Paolo, Olivier, or I don't know.
Do we?
Do it? No, but otherwise people won't take us seriously. I mean, they're just kissing up to them. I mean, okay, yeah, we are perhaps fanboys, and
Well, this is a pod about a game that we happen to like, so
yeah.
So what do you expect?
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's start looking into the future and the future of the game, and also the future for ourselves, maybe. Let's talk about some upcoming events and some upcoming tournaments. We have a smaller local tournament quite soon, in less than a month, coming up here in Gothenburg, Sweden. That's going to be very interesting to see, kind of what's shaken out of the last tournament a few weeks ago, and see how people are going to react to that.
What armies will they field? That's most important to me. I mean,
interesting.
how many SSU? Will there be 10 SSU and 1 Axis, 1 Allied? Or will it be a counter movement to this now? Will nobody play SSU because they are too good? Or, I mean, I don't know.
That's quite an interesting thing. We've also seen a lot more aircraft
Yeah?
in general. Of course, mostly choppers, but we've seen a few on the Allied and the Axis side as well. And that's great, because in version 2 it felt like you just never fielded aircraft. It was never worth the points, more or less.
That's so true. That's so true. And I'm so interested in the time when someone is feeling the storch.
Oh yes.
Because I've been studying that card and I've been thinking about it. I mean, I think the wrong opponent will get fucking crazy. Because none of his HQ will be working. He won't be reactivating. He won't be ammo dropping. He won't be this and that. And I'm just starting to... It's cheap aircraft. It's not easy to shoot it if you don't bring your air support, because you're not supposed to need air support. Some people think. So couldn't two stores...
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting unit. And I think it can really mess with some opponents.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also looking forward to whenever somebody plays that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Mm.
Then of course we have the big one, for our sake anyway.
You mean when someone else will play the Chica once again?
Of course. I'll talk tournament-wise.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I'm then of course talking about the Dust Nordic tournament that's going to be held here in Gothenburg over Easter holiday, or Easter weekend. We are in the process of kind of finalizing the final details. We are putting together something very soon for the homepage, for the webpage.
Yeah, we have some basic information and more will follow fairly shortly. We are working on refining our own kind of tournament document.
Yeah, and
which is in English, so as many as possible can understand it.
Yeah, just to go some kind of few pointers from that that people might be interested to know. This is a tournament document that's specific to us. It's not meant to supplant any other tournament document. It's just how we like to play tournaments.
Yeah.
So to make that clear. Some of the stuff that people might be interested to know, you can bring one army list or two if you want. And that's kind of a special thing. I'm not sure if there's any other Dust tournaments that do that, but I
haven't really seen any.
But I know that that's standard in some other games.
Yes. It's a kind of mix of a couple of the old tournament documents, and it will also incorporate, I would say, most of the new one that Olivier released not too long ago, with some restrictions and clarifications and stuff like that. And kind of the aim of our tournament document is to provide the other players or the participants in any of our events with an idea of this is like how we play. This is our version or variant. To make things as clear as possible and so they know what to expect. I've been playing a lot of tournaments and sometimes there's not too much information before and you can get kind of disappointed because you have one picture of what you expect and when you get there it's something completely different. And I mean the tournament can be fine, but if it's not what you expected you can be disappointed. So like this is my aim or my goal with this document to give it as clear picture as possible what people can expect from it.
Yeah, that's a very good point you're making. And let's make that 100% clear concerning Dust Nordic. We want that to be a sample of how we play. We don't claim to play it. We don't claim that it will be 100% official.
No.
We want it to be...
yeah, there will be some kind of, I wouldn't say house rules because we kind of play by the rule book, but
not in the actual game itself, but
No.
rather in how it's organized. That will be maybe a bit different from what people have been used to playing it with other groups. maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know really. I don't know how the other play groups play really. This is.
And I think that's kind of the good point. That's why we feel the need to make it as clear as we can, so people know what they can expect.
Yeah, we like the people that participated to come away with a thing that feeling that, oh yeah, you could do this, and oh, I haven't experienced that before. Because why would you go to the north of Europe? I mean, even if it's a mostly charming country, and we are of course very charming individuals, and we will give you a hell of a good time when you come. But why would you come and play the same tournament at our place as you could do at your own place or your own backyard?
Yeah.
I mean, it costs you money, unfortunately, to get here and stuff, and you have to organize the flight or the car or whatever however you get here. Then you want, hopefully, you want a special.
A new experience.
Yeah, experience was the word I was looking for. So, and I think we are a little bit different, or at least have been before, because when you played on boards as ours, you were playing non-gridded throughout the world, I would say. If you played gridded, you usually played like...
just flat.
Yeah, flat. And
Yeah, that's maybe one of the things actually. We kind of play 3D terrain almost always.
Yeah.
Very, just rarely we don't play 3D, like multi-store buildings and yeah.
Yeah,
all
that's
that stuff.
normal.
Yeah, that's normal for us.
And every board I put on a tournament, I try to build them to make the composition work for me. I mean, I don't want to say too much positive about my way of doing my terrain, but I like to get a picture. When I look at a board, I like to see, oh, this is actually possible. This is like
You can almost get a story out of it.
Yeah. And then if it works playing on, great. If it doesn't, I don't give a. No, sorry, but I mean, of course, I try to make alterations so I don't destroy.
There's both the playability. I mean, especially in a tournament. For me, it's important that it's a good table to play on. It should work, but a very important part is also the look of it. You should think about what would it be to fight in these conditions, to fight in this part of the city or whatever.
Exactly. That's why we play a miniatures game.
Yeah.
It should look cool.
Yeah.
And that's why also you paint your armies as for your best ability. I mean, I'm not a great painter, but it looks a little bit more fun when you painted your army. But then if you put your army that you painted on a tabletop that is not painted, well, why did you paint your army then? I'm sorry, but I mean, the terrain is as important to me, and I know Magnus and I have discussed this many times, and I'm baffled by the lack of terrain building and baffled by the interest of people not putting that much energy on their terrain, because I've seen people and they do beautiful miniatures and they put hours and hours of painting and time on their miniatures, and then they bring out their board and it's like it's a sock and a bit of cardboard or something.
To kind of quickly go back to what you said earlier there, I would really like to see more people post pictures, photos of cool terrain that they made. That is for all you guys out there. That's my request for you. Terrains. I love terrains. I love building terrains, and I love seeing all the cool terrain that people have out there. I'm sure there are tons of cool stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I can say from my perspective, I'm one of those kind of guys. I paint my miniatures the best way I can, and as fast as I can, which is not very fast as well. But I have never done any terrain as yet. And for me, I think it feels like it's a larger step from painting miniatures to painting terrain, because you have to think in a different way. I think that might be why some people kind of hesitate getting into it as well.
Yeah, and I understand you want to paint your minis before you want to paint your terrain. And I will perhaps even be scared if I meet a person that painted the terrain before the miniatures. I don't know, but I mean, still, it's a total picture here. And I know there are gaming clubs in different part of the world where you have to paint your armies. But I've actually been part of one of those, and that didn't. Oh yeah, they did some great terrain, but they also put anything on the table, and then you just like, why should you paint your miniatures when you don't paint your terrain? Well, I'm perhaps exaggerating a bit, but
yeah, I think that I'm guessing that a lot of people have some feel that there are some kind of boundary to like start building terrain or painting their terrain. I don't know. That's what I've seen before, at least, and I think that people should just try it out. It's trial and error. It's the same thing as you, like when you put models together, when you paint models in the beginning, maybe it's not going to be that great.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a few of my very early models, they looked horrible. But you know, just learn step by step, learning by doing.
Yeah. And like I said, I said this in the last episode, step outside your box, outside of your comfort zone. That's how you learn. That's how you progress. That's how you better yourself.
So true.
So maybe that's I've already done one of my kind of milestones for this year. I've played an SSU army in a tournament. I won a prize.
Yeah.
Not first prize, but I won a prize. And that's good enough for me. So maybe that should be my next step. I'm going to paint a table.
Yeah, and now I know you're getting started with the
airbrushing stuff. Yeah, and it's another kind of personal thing because I actually got an airbrush kit for my birthday, which hasn't arrived yet.
I think I have some work for you.
I'm really chomping at the bit to get started with that. As soon as it arrives, I have a ton of terrain pieces to paint. They just have to get some paint on them.
Yeah, and with an airbrush, it's easy just to get some paint on it.
Exactly, and that's how you get started.
Yeah, the first layer just pops the miniatures, but then.
That said, people don't need an airbrush in order to paint terrain.
No.
Definitely not.
I had mine for 2 days and then it didn't work anymore, and so a brush.
I don't really use an airbrush at all. Actually, they can be really good for some things, but not for all things anyway. Yeah, at least not for me. I've tried it a little bit, and
it's a tool. Like everything else, it has its specific use cases, and if you as a person don't work with the tool, then the tool is not going to do the work for you. You have to get comfortable with it.
And then there's another option, perhaps not that great for the environment, but you got the spray cans. We got a great place here in Gothenburg that sells those at a very reasonable price, and they're very easy to use, and they are very good on plastic or that. I mean,
most kinds of material actually.
Yeah, so they made wonders for me. Styrofoam I've sprayed with these and works great.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, Johannes. You should start working with building terrain.
Yeah, we're gonna set it up as a personal goal, and I hope I can inspire some other people out there to get started with their terrain.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can.
Start with something small and work your way up.
Yeah.
And soon you'll have a complete board.
That's how you do it.
And if there's anyone out there who's objecting, well, it takes too much space and stuff, and normal tabletop if you want to build a table and stuff like that. But now you got these beautiful gaming mats, so you don't have to build the board, and then you can build small things that fit in a square. I mean, you can stash those in a normal bookshelf. I mean.
Yeah, and that's just another thing with Dust. It's great because you don't really need that much if you compare to some of the other miniature games.
No, if there's any game you should start building, painting terrain, it's for Dust 1947 because it's so suitable for just the beginner, I would say. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be it for this episode, and I'm going to have to thank you two guys for joining me. And I have
Thank
to
you
thank...
for having us.
Yeah,
This
and I
will
thank
be
you.
never happen again, or what?
Sorry. We'll see. And I have to thank you all you listeners for tuning in. And as usual, we'll see you on the battlefield. All music used in this podcast is by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. If you want to get in contact with me and this podcast, you can email dustwarjournals@gmail.com, or you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at dustwarjournals.